Venus represents a better target for colonization than does Mars, and I think the idea of a spaceship hauling ore is rather impractical. Hello, everybody. This is Preston Poulter with Lords of Iron. It's been a while since I've put up any videos. I've been doing a lot of comic book shows now that quarantine's kind of lifted a bit. I've had a chance to go out, traveling all over the US, meeting people. That's been cool. Also, I just launched my latest Kickstarter, which features a comic book you guys are going to love, Lords of Iron. There's a link down in the description if you want to go check it out. And to me, I don't even classify it as a sci-fi. I classify it as a cyberpunk because there's no science fiction-y elements to it. Like, I don't have any faster than light travel. I don't have any artificial gravity. I did graduate from college with a degree in chemistry and geology, and I tried to make everything in that comic book be absolutely hard science. Now, there is a character who can do magic, and I find that convenient because when I need maybe a certain trope, I can go, okay, this is magic. But then the audience will know, okay, now we're kind of leaving the world of physics behind. But everything in issue 1 is absolutely hard science. If you follow the link in the description to the Kickstarter campaign page, you will see 9 pages from the comic book. And I just want to take this opportunity to pose a few questions about sci-fi tropes because, we see them all the time. We love them. Look, I love the Alien movie, but the idea of this big space freighter traveling at relativistic speeds to haul ore seems inefficient. If you have the technology to travel at relativistic speeds, shouldn't you just be able to materialize whatever resources you want? Like, I think we're in a post-scarcity environment at that point. So my comic books actually features a refinery slash smelting facility on the Planetoid series, and I propose what might be a cool way to mine asteroids. I avoided using a lot of fusion energy because in looking around at like the resources you're going to find around our solar system, there's a fair amount of uranium. But if you're going to power fusion, well, there's not a ton of things that are going to power fusion. And I got to think that somebody would go, well, gee, what are we going to do with all this uranium? So nuclear fission is basically the gasoline equivalent that's kind of powering the Lords of Iron universe. So we have nuclear fission. So I have nuclear fission heating up water, which is really good at doing. And then this superheated steam is blasting and melting away the asteroid. And then the melted asteroid congeals down into this iron cauldron, which I have jets of cold water spraying on to try and keep it from melting. But if it melts a little bit, it's no big deal. Really, it just needed an iron casing because then it's magnetized while it's all molten. So you got that iron casing and it's all magnetized. And then as opposed to like Alien, where you've got an ore freighter, like, no, you just use the electromagnetics to launch that thing towards the Earth, where there should be a receiving facility, which can use the electromagnetics once it gets there to slow it down and capture it. And then, hey, look at that. You transported your ore. Pretty cool, right? Also, I have this cool cyberspace meeting. I mean, look, Mark Zuckerberg unveiled the metaverse just a few days ago, and that's his version of, hey, we'll have virtual meetings. So whenever we're in the future, we're going to be looking at mining asteroids. You better believe virtual meeting places are going to be absolutely a thing. So I have a lot of action taking place in cyberspace. Also, the idea of transhumanism really fascinates me, and this is a process that, quite frankly, has already kind of begun. A friend of mine looked at smartphones as a cybernetic parasite. I'm a bit of a pessimist about the whole thing. Me, I'm a little more circumspect, but you gotta admit, it dominates a lot of your attention, and that's just when it's on a little screen. You can imagine if we're in these immersive environments, well, the boundary between cyberspace and real reality, that's going to get awfully blurry. And you really have the concept of transhumanism, which we're just starting to kind of touch on now. But you can imagine in 100 years, 150 years, as technology increasingly augments your body, right now it's causing us to question gender. And that's not a discussion we would really be having 100 years ago because the technology wasn't there. But now, well, I can go to the plastic surgeon and they can do this and they can do that. The technology is prompting the conversation, and this process is just going to keep going. And it's going to beg the questions that we really explore in Cyberpunk, which is what does it even mean to be human? And of course, that's absolutely going to be here in Lords of Iron. And what would we have without big, giant mecha battles? I know you guys are going to love that. And really, in space, I think giant mecha battles are fairly realistic because you don't need to be aerodynamic. And right now, in terms of when we have astronauts doing spacewalks, they're in a humanoid pressure suit with a jetpack. Add a few weapons, and what do you got? Right? I've got the character Trinity. I'm pretty excited about it. Trinity is a transhuman character. She was once human, but she's now been augmented, and she has three distinct personalities. She has pronouns because there are one of the personalities is male, two of them are female. She goes by she. And in cyberspace, we can see the three different distinct personalities, each represented by their own avatar. And they all came out of my story, Guinevere and the Divinity Factory, if you're curious. Of course, what it's going to be like when consciousness is actually fused, or some people who are like, oh, my body's dying, but I want my consciousness to continue. There's all kind of questions about what that's going to be like. I mean, look, no one's really sure. But I think we as outside observers are certainly going to find it uncanny that you have one person, and that's what I love about the Trinity character, rotating from personality to personality from moment to moment, which I think, quite frankly, is something that we will observe. Each of us goes through a decision-making process and then we take action, and that becomes a lot more ominous when that involves switching to different modes or different personalities, and it's unsettling, but also pretty awesome. So, link in the description. Please go ahead and check out my Kickstarter. This has been Preston Poulter with Lords of Iron. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Take care.